Hi everybody, this is David and I'm just writing a tutorial on how to use VirtualBox and why you'd use VirtualBox and Docker and Ubuntu Linux. You can install Docker on Windows, but we're going to be doing it on Ubuntu because we kind of want to have our own server. And these are kind of the reasons why you'd want to install VirtualBox, Docker, and Ubuntu. Um, VirtualBox is an emulation program that allows you to emulate other computers, so other operating systems within a host OS. So it's like a mini computer within a computer. And if you want to, in Docker is like a container, so it runs. It's like an OS within a computer within a computer. And the reason why Docker is so nice is because it has pre-bundled applications that are configured or really that are already installed that only need to be configured. So, for example, let's just say you want to install a application like Navidrone, and Navidrone is an application that allows you to use audio server to like Spotify, to be like something like Spotify, and you can put your music on there, and you won't have to pay for Spotify. You have your own Navidrone server, and this will be on VirtualBox. The gotcha is that your server would have to be on 24 hours a day to use it, or when you're out, because if you take it down, it won't work. But so let's do kind of some steps. I'll go through just installing Docker, Navidrone, and other applications you can use with Docker. And I will go through downloading VirtualBox as well and installing a Ubuntu operating system. You can also do this with Wizzle or even installing Docker Desktop. We're going to do this on Windows Home. I'm not too sure if there's a possibility to use Wizzle on Windows Home, so it all depends on the licensing of Windows. So let's go into this and we'll download VirtualBox. So the first thing we want to do is you can go to Google and you can look for VirtualBox. So just search for VirtualBox here. And when you search for VirtualBox here, you're going to get you're going to look for Oracle. So you just go to virtualbox.com. You want to download Oracle VM VirtualBox. And you'll download it like this. So download Windows Host if you're using a Windows application, or Mac for Mac. So I'm downloading it for Windows Host. And it's going to download up here. And then go to click on the link here. I've already downloaded a few times, so you'll see multiple versions here. I'm going to click on VirtualBox. You'll see a screen like this. And it's going to make, you're going to need administrative privileges. So just click on yes. You're going to get another screen popping up, which is saying welcome to Oracle after doing that. And it will look like this. So you're going to click on next. And then you're going to click on next again. Put in the location you want. The default location is good for me. You can click on next. And then you're going to get warning network interfaces. So this is going to say warning, installing this. So it's going to temporarily detect you from the internet. This will allow you to do bridge networking or NAT networking on your devices, so you can access the thing remotely. And I'll explain that more later about the networking. So the networking allows you to do IP addresses on your route, the same as your router, or networking through NAT, which would be just a container system, or sorry, the VM system. So let me click on next. We're going to do bridge networking, and I'm going to explain that a little bit more. So I'm going to proceed with the installation. Yes. Then I'm going to create the entries. I'm going to click on install. So now it's installing VirtualBox. And now it's installed VirtualBox. So the next thing you want to do is you want to download Ubuntu or any OS, but Ubuntu is the easiest kind of distro that you can use. So and it has a lot of documentation if you run into problems. So I'm going to use Ubuntu as my Docker host. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the search engine. I'm going to go to Ubuntu. I'm going to look for download the latest LTS version. And what the LTS version is it's the long-standing it's a long-term version. So it allows it to be long-term. You don't have to upgrade it for a very long time. It allows it for it's basically the longest maintenance version, which means that it's the version control the versioning is you don't have to upgrade as often basically for the for applications, which makes it more stable, just bug fixing and whatnot. So I'm gonna accept all and visit the site. I'm gonna go to products, and then I'm gonna go to Ubuntu server, and we're gonna download 2404. That's the latest LTS. So let me download for 2404. We're gonna download Ubuntu server, download 2404. Okay, download it. I'm going to say download now. And it's downloading right here, as you can see. It's going to take about 30 seconds, it looks like, with my internet connection. So let's just, once we install this Ubuntu server, we're going to install Docker as well. And all these links will be under my YouTube channel on how to do it yourself. So you'll be able to do it yourself at home. And install these Docker containers, depending on which container you want. We're going to do Navidrone. So I'm going to click on VirtualBox here, open up VirtualBox. Okay. So VirtualBox here, then I'm going to click on File, and then I'm going to click on New Machine. And then I'm going to click VirtualBox, I'm going to call it Ubuntu 2404 server Docker, and that's going to be the name of our server. We're going to use the image here, which I downloaded, which will be located here. We're going to select our image, and we're going to put it where the download folder. So in my folder, it's under downloads. By default, it'll be on Windows downloads as well for you. So I'm going to click on this, and then we're going to go to downloads, and then we're going to click on next. And the next thing we want to do is set up our username. So you want to I'm going to set up as David, put my password here. And then remember your password, remember your username. I'm going to call it host name. We're going to call it Ubuntu Docker. And domain name, my domain is trulycanadian.net. So we're going to continue with that. And we're going to click on next. We're going to give it, hopefully you have a little bit of memory in there. The minimum requirements for Navidrone, we'll look that up, but I have a bit of memory on this machine. I can have up to 32. You'll probably have about 8. So if you only have about 8, you probably only want to do 4 maximum. If you have multiple OSs, you want to put multiple OSs on there, you probably want a 2, but we're going to say 4. If you only have 8 gigabytes of RAM on your laptop, then you only want to probably do 4. And then we're going to click on processors. We're going to put on give multi-processor. We're going to say 2 CPUs. If you have less CPUs, you want to try putting 1 CPU. That's okay too. Click on next. Create a virtual hard disk. So we're going to make this, because it's going to be a music server, I suggest making it larger, but this is just a trial. So let's just make it 40 gigs, I guess, is good enough for me. I'm going to click on next. Now this doesn't take 40 gigs right away. What it is it's dynamically allocated. So what that means is that it will increase as more disk space gets used. So you can put up all the way to 2 terabytes, but it could fill up your whole disk if you go that far with your disk space. So this capping in at 41 gigs means you won't get it won't go past 41 gigs, but it won't start that size either. And I'll show you an example of how big this disk size is when it starts off. So I'm going to click on next. Click on finish, and then I'm going to start the VM up. The VM starts up automatically once you do that, because you've got the OS installed there. So let me maximize the screen. While this is starting up, let me show you the disk space. So how large this disk space is. I can find it. Let's see how large is this space. It's in VirtualBox at VM. So these hard drives are sold as files in your computer. These disks are stored as files in your computer, the disk that you just created. And this is how big the disk starts off with. So if you look here, it looks like it's 2 megs. So it's going to increase more as we install the OS. So let me put this here. And we're going to click on, so this is, well, we're going to get a screen with what language you want. Usually it's English. Continue without. We're going to continue without updating. You can update the new installer if you want. We're going to do the layout English. Ubuntu server. So what we want is the Ubuntu server. This will allow you for a lot of the applications for Linux. You can use minimized as well, but Ubuntu server is a good choice to do if you want to try other things as well. So let me click on done. And then right now, you see, right now it's NAT. You can see that the OS is NAT, which means that you can't access this host from outside the VM without some modifications. We're going to change that to bridge later. And I'll show you the steps on that. Bridge networking means it goes on the actual network that you have. So if you, for example, the bridge network means that it goes on this network here. So we go IP config here. You see my IP address is 192.168.1.241. Well, this bridge networking means that I'll have another IP address under 192.168.1, which will be accessible on all over your LAN. So if you're on your computer, you can browse to it on the same network that you're on. Your home network is always using the virtual LAN. So for example, my other computer might be 192.168.1.100, for example. My router might be 192.168.1.1. And these are all hosts that can communicate with each other. The number is a unique identifier for the host system. So right now I'm going to click on done. I'm going to not encrypt the disk. I'm going to use the default options. I'm going to click on done. Make the default options. Click on these. I'm going to continue. Yep. And then I'm going to put in my name for my username. I'm going to put David here. We're going to call the server again, the server name, which should be Docker, Ubuntu Docker. And we're going to put in the password. Make it testing123 or whatever password you're comfortable with. I want to just make it test today, and I'm going to make tests here too. So my password will be test, but you can make it whatever you want. So I'm going to click on next. Oh, I guess I have to make it longer. Test user. Oh, it doesn't match because my typing is atrocious. All right. Test user. Okay, now I'm going to skip. We don't have a Ubuntu Pro. Ubuntu is just so you know, Ubuntu is free to use. It's a free operating system to use. You don't have to pay for it. VirtualBox is free to use. You don't have to pay for it. This is all stuff you can download free of charge on the internet. Of course, you have to pay for data if you pay for data, but if you have data on your internet provider, it's included. So the other thing you want to make sure is you install the OpenSSH server. This OpenSSH server allows you to communicate with your Windows system to allow you to access it remotely or access it from your desktop rather than from the VM window, which can be very convenient when you want to cut and paste commands from the Docker command, the Docker website. So right now I've got a whole bunch of things I can install. I'm not going to install any of these things. I could install Docker, but I'm going to install it manually from the website. So let's continue with this. I'm going to click on done. Let's see what other options we have. See if we want to install anything else. Doesn't really want to install anything else. I'm going to click on done here. And it's going to install the OS on my VirtualBox. Give it some time. So what can we go through while we're waiting for this to install? So I'm going to talk a little bit more while it's installing about VMs in general. So VMs are just a computer within a computer, and it allows you to run test operating systems, learn new things about the OS, try things out, break things, and fix things without ruining your first computer. It also allows you to have multiple computers set up. So as a business, we might have like 4 VMs running with 4 different OSs that do different functions. So that's kind of what VirtualBox is for. So I'm going to reboot this, and we're going to continue. It's going to we now have Ubuntu 24.04 installed. So now we're going to get an IP address I can't access through my Windows system. It's only going to be able to be accessed through the VirtualBox system. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to log in as David. I'm logged in. Now I'm going to reboot the system. I'm going to shut down the system using sudo. Sudo is basically means run as an administrator in Windows. So I'm going to say run this application as sudo, and I'm going to tell it to shut down now, which only sudo has access to. So you type in your shutdown, then user. So we're going to shut down the system. After shutting down the system, we want to make the network bridge network. So you get an IP address the same as the network that we're on. So if I go to network, if you click on, so the first thing you want to do, sorry, I'm going too fast, but if you click on settings and you go to network and you click on attached to, make that bridged adapter, and that's all you need to do. Click on OK, and then what you want to do is you want to click on start. So I'm going to start this here, and now we're starting the network in bridged mode, which will change the network broadcast to respond to a DHCP server that's on your router system, on your router. A DHCP server is like a dynamic system that applies IPs to all the networks on your system. So like your phone, your desktop, your Raspberry Pi, your Alexa, all gets a different IP that's connected to the same LAN network. So that's what a DHCP server does for you. So it allows you to it gives DHCP server IP addresses to all the computers on your network. So now I'm going to log in as David, and I'm just going to show you the IP address. So if I go, what I'm going to run is there's two commands you can run. If config -a, it might not be on this one because it's been deprecated. Nope. So there's another command you can run, which is IP address. This will tell you your IP address. IP address will tell you your IP address. If you look down here, you'll see that my IP address now is 192.168.1.147. This will allow me to contact that system on my Windows box. I'm going to bring up another command prompt here so you can see exactly what I mean. So if I go here, if you've installed OpenSSH server on your box, it should be there. So if I go here, run command, you should get a box like this popping up. And if I do ping 192.168, I'm stuck in the VirtualBox mode. So if you get stuck in the VirtualBox host here, so the other thing to note, sorry, I forgot to mention this, is that when you're in the VirtualBox host, you have to get out of the VirtualBox window. Once you're in that window, you got to press Control, and that will allow you to it's basically the host key. It's the right control usually by default, and that will allow you to get out of the VirtualBox terminal window and go into your Windows server. So I'm going to click on right control, click on cancel, click on this. Now if you look here, I have a command window open, and I should be able to access that system via my Windows terminal. So as you see here, it's running. I've got access. Now there's an application called SSH. This is called Secure Socket Shell, which allows you to communicate with remote servers. So I'm going to connect to that server that I just created, and I'm going to log in so I can install Docker on there. So as you see here, I'm now logged in. So I'm going to minimize this VirtualBox window because I can't do cut and paste in that VirtualBox window. But with Ubuntu Docker, I can now easily communicate with VirtualBox within a terminal window, and I have all my cut and paste functionality. I can Control C. I can go back and forth between the browser, all this kind of stuff. So we're now on the Docker system within our Windows operating system, and it's on our network. You can go on another system if you have one at home and even ping it from there. You can also contact it from your phones. This IP address is on your network. So I'm now going to go here, and I'm going to go to 192.168 dot no, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm gonna look for Docker. So I'm gonna go to Google, and I'm gonna call Docker Hub, and we're gonna download Docker. I probably want to do not Docker Hub. We're gonna go how to install Docker. Just Google this, how to install Docker. on Ubuntu 2404. You're going to get an installed Docker engine on Ubuntu. So you're going to click on this link. It's under docker.com. So you're going to click on this link here. And then from here, you're going to go through these instructions. So you can read through these instructions, but basically the meat of it is the first thing you want to do is run this command here. Usually this command is not necessary, but we'll run it just in case. And so we're going to run this command here. It's going to uninstall. What this command does is uninstall any of the applications that Docker might have been installed on Ubuntu that was from Ubuntu, not from Docker itself. We're going to run these commands here, and these commands actually install Docker on the Ubuntu system. What it basically does is it updates the repository, adds Docker to the repository of Docker, so you get an added repo host, and then that allows you to download Docker. And I'm going to go through what a repository is just right now. So Ubuntu has different hosts that can download its repos from, so like Windows Update. So you can download new applications, all that stuff under ubuntu.com. So in the folder, so I'll show you an example. So in this folder here, we have a Ubuntu host system. So in this folder here, you have a bunch of repos that are loaded. So if I go here, you'll see that all these are Ubuntu repos that are loaded into Ubuntu. So that means a repo is, again, a list of applications that can be downloaded for the Ubuntu application system, which are free. So, for example, I can install grep, or I can install other applications like X Windows, which will have a Windows interface, for example. There's all kinds of different applications there. But today we're going to install Docker. We added a Docker repo. So let's continue. So I'm going to take I ran these commands. We've installed Docker. Now this is the command that actually installs Docker. So right here, we'll install all of the Docker main applications from the Docker repo that we just added. So here we go. So now we've just installed Docker. Docker is installed. After installing Docker, you want to make the normal user be able to use Docker, because by default, if I'll show you how this works, the default, the normal user does not have access to Docker. And we want to make things easier for us in the long run. We want to make the Docker be able to access by the regular user. So if I go here and I go Docker, search for Docker, I'm going to search for Docker user mod. And this will show you how to update the Docker so it can be accessed by the regular user. So I'm going to run this application. Okay, now the Docker, log in and log back out. So go back to the IP address, log in, log that out. And then we're going to basically be able to use Docker. So we do Docker PS. So let's do a summary of what we've just done. So the first thing is, I want to do a summary of what we've just done. So the first thing we want to make sure when you install the OS, after the OS is installed, do IP address. You'll see the IP address here, 192.168.1.147. That's how we're going to contact it. Press Control. We have Docker. We install Docker after those steps. And then we log into our Docker system by going to the ssh-l david 192.168. That's the system, the IP address that we got from here. So I'm going to go here, and now we have Docker installed. So to verify that Docker's installed, what we want to do is we want to run Docker hello world. So this will basically print out hello world when you run Docker, so without sudo too. So if I run this here, there you go. So this is basically an OS that just downloaded and ran hello world. So let's start to go with how we can download Docker applications. So we're going to download Navidrone, but before we do that, let's describe on where we download our Navidrone from. So hub.docker.com has a bunch of applications that you can download here that you might want to use. Something like has different OSs, like different Linux OSs. You can try out different Linux OSs. Has Nginx, which is a web server. Has MongoDB, so databases. Has let's see what else we can. It has, what else can we download with Docker? Well, there's like a bunch of Dockers um applications. Machine learning, there's probably machine, you can download machine learning stuff there as well. Navidrone, we can download a open office, an open office equivalent for the web, for example. You can install this only office. But we're gonna download Navidrone. It's one of the easier ones. So Navidrone, we're gonna click on Navidrone. So what is Navidrone? You're asking me? So Navidrone is a server that allows you to do music like Spotify on your own desktop. You just need to upload the music. We go to Navidrone. There you go. This is where you can find more about it. Welcome to Navidrone documentation. This is about different about the Navidrone application. If you want, then if we're going to find out where Docker is, so we're going to click on Docker, and this is showing you how to use Docker to run Navidrone. So what this uses is usually it uses Docker Compose. Docker Compose is a utility that is a that organizes your Docker images into like an application of the different ones that are needed. So you can run multiple Docker instances in with spinning up one file. It kind of sets your volumes, your networks, all that together. So it allows you to do more organizable complex things with Docker for networking and whatnot. So let's download Navidrome. So let me give you a second. So the official Navidrome looks like to be Dulon at Navidrome latest. So I'm gonna just copy this file, copy this here, and I'm gonna run it. Oops, I forgot the latest. So this will download the Navidrome instance, and we will look into that. So let me describe what these commands do, so you understand what these commands do. So -v, we actually have to change some of these commands. So this wasn't I should have showed you this before. So the thing is I just ran the command not docker run, but it sets some paths. So let's go into what these commands do. So if I go into this here, we're going to open a file called test. We're going to create a file called test.sh, or let's call it navidrone.sh. And we're going to paste this here. And the command line prompt here, we're going to go through. So name is the name we're going to name the Docker instance. Restart equals unless stop means whenever you start up the system, it'll always start. The Docker instance will always start, and it will, if it shuts down or crashes, it'll restart the path. The path to the -v means mount a folder on your host system to the container system. So I'm gonna just put here my home drive, which is like this, home, my parent folder, which is :music, and from here the data folder, which is the configuration for Navi, and I'm gonna do /here for data, and the port is the port that we're opening up for this Docker container. So this port allows you to open up the port for your Linux system to all the devices on your network. So this means all the devices on your network have access to this port. So I'm going to continue on with this. And I'm going to hit save. And we're going to run this as a script. This script is actually, this is a script that will, what the script is it's like a bash script that allows you to run commands through executing multiple commands through executing it. And I think, sorry, Windows just popped up. So for example, all these commands here will be ran. This command will be ran when I run this navidrome.script I just created. Oh, and I made the same mistake. is. So the instance is still in the Docker. So I'm going to erase this. And I'm going to stop the instance I just created by doing docker stop. Docker stop is the command to stop the Docker instance. So I'm going to run the command docker stop 84. And then I'm going to remove it. So there's a few commands that you should know is docker rm is remove instance. Docker stop is stop the container or stop the instance. And docker ps is to list the commands. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the instance here. So I'm going to run Navidrone, and it's going to start up a Docker with Docker run. And what Docker run does is it starts the instance up. So I'm going to run Docker run. And this will start up a Docker instance, which will be open on port 4533. So now if I go to 192.168.1.147, this.4533, we should have a working server that is on the network that you can access. So if I go 192.168.1.147.4543. Oh, I must have. SSA-ANT will list the applications that are running with the port. I put the wrong port there, so it's actually 4533. And as you can see, Navidrone is up and running, and we can log in with the user and password. And from here, I just put my administrator for test for David. David's my administrator. Test user for the password. Create admin, and there we're up and running. That's how easy it was to get a Docker application working with Navidrone. And I'm going to try to do some more documentation to go into specific instructions on what I did, all the Docker commands, all this stuff later on for tutorials. But this is a quick overview on what Docker can do and how you can install it quickly with Ubuntu for beginners. Thanks and have a great day.